Okay, let's talk about the very important Supreme Court case, Marbury versus Madison. After the election of 1800, the Democratic Republicans were set to take control of the American government system. Due to the Federalist mistakes with the Alien Sedition Acts, they not only lost the presidency, with John Adams losing in the election of 1800, but they also lost many positions in Congress. For the Federalists, this was very, very scary, and they were very scared that they would lose all the power they had in our country and that Thomas Jefferson and the Democratic Republicans would undo all the work that they had done previously. To preserve their power, they passed a law called the Judiciary Act of 1801, which created 16 new judge positions, which would be appointed by the Federalist Congress and President before the Democratic Republicans take over. At this point, they are scrambling to fill out all the paperwork to create all these new Federalist judge positions. However, President John Adams and his assistants cannot fill out all the paperwork on time and deliver it all on time. They're called the Midnight Judges because John Adams was literally up to midnight trying to get the paperwork together for these judges. The next day, when John Adams took over, or when Thomas Jefferson took over for John Adams, the paperwork had not all been delivered, particularly the paperwork for Justice of the Peace William Marbury. Thomas Jefferson, not wanting to create any more Federalist judge positions, or appoint any more Federalists to judge positions, ordered his Secretary of State, James Madison, not to deliver the paperwork for William Marbury. Both Jefferson and Madison agreed that the appointments were not valid and were a sneaky trick by the Federalists to try to preserve power when the American people had already voted them out. There's James Madison. He will be a future president, and he was a top aide and advisor to Thomas Jefferson. There's William Marbury, who was appointed to be a judge, but his paperwork was not filed properly in time for him to gain that appointment. William Marbury is frustrated. He wants his position. He wants to exercise his power. So he sues James Madison to have the courts order him to deliver the paperwork. Because they are both public officials, the case doesn't just go to any lower court. It goes directly to the Supreme Court by law at this time. At the Supreme Court, John Marshall, a strong Federalist, is Chief Justice. He's looking for an opportunity to increase the power of the Supreme Court to make sure we have three branches of government. In Marbury versus Madison, he gains that opportunity. In his ruling, he said that he agreed with William Marbury and that William Marbury should have had his paperwork filed on time and he should be a judge. However, the law that says that the Supreme Court can hear cases and based on this merit between Marbury versus Madison and the law that created the judge positions by the Supreme Court is unconstitutional. And therefore, he refuses to hear the rest of Marbury's case. This is the first time, this is the key part of it, this is the first time the Supreme Court declared a law passed by Congress to be unconstitutional. And it establishes a precedent that the Supreme Court does have this power and can check the powers of president of the executive branch in the Congress, in the legislative branch. So Marbury versus Madison, why you need to remember it is that it establishes the power of the Supreme Court, and it establishes the idea of judicial review, which says that a Supreme Court can declare acts of Congress unconstitutional and acts created by the president as well.